Last time on the Skip and Josh podcast.
Well, they're not going to make the playoffs. That's almost impossible.
They can be a wild card.
I know mathematically it's possible, but they're on their third or fourth string quarterback. When you look at the math, yeah, they could be 500. But when you look at the team, they're not winning another game.
Well, that would make me happy. But you know who they're playing this week? They're playing Jacksonville, who sucks almost as bad.
Doesn't matter. Washington's not going to score more than 3 points this week. Take the under.
Take the under. Okay, you heard it here first.
You're listening to the Skip and Josh podcast with Skip Sherman and Josh Obadia.
I'm Josh in Toronto.
And I'm Skip in Montreal.
In today's episode, we talk about a 300-win goalie,
overpaid baseball players,
and announcers that I don't like.
But first, let's start with our weekly NFL recap.
Okay, Skip, it's been a while since we've spoken, so there'll be some stuff on this episode that is old news to our listeners, and it's old news to us too, but we haven't talked about it.
Right.
So, for example, the last time we did speak, you had said to me the Redskins are not going to win another game the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And they won their very next game.
Yeah.
And because part of the reason they won that game is because they played Jacksonville, who I said you can't trust Jacksonville, if you recall.
Right.
And sure enough, you can't trust Jacksonville.
No, Jacksonville, you definitely can't trust them. My point about the Redskins was that they weren't going to make the playoffs, and now a couple of weeks of NFL have gone by since we last recorded, and they're out now.
Yes, thank God they're out because they don't deserve to be in.
Yeah.
But their division still sucks.
Yeah, I mean, nothing great, no great shakes there, but I mean, the interesting thing about the NFL is, like you said, you can't figure out anything out this year about the NFL. Never mind the Redskins and the NFC East, and you can't figure out any team.
I have a question about the NFC East.
Yeah.
Is it possible that the Cowboys and the Eagles both make the playoffs?
Yes. Are you not following what's going on? Or?
Not really.
Okay, the Cowboys, well, let me explain it to you. Cowboys clinched the division.
Oh, they clinched the division already?
They clinched the division
Okay.
this week. The Eagles can make the playoffs if they win and if Minnesota loses.
I'm just surprised that the wild card team was going to come out of that division.
Well, it's going to the second wild card is either going to be Minnesota or Philadelphia. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And obviously, as an Eagles fan, I want the Eagles to make it, but they actually are playing the best above most teams in the league.
They won 2 or 3
Yeah,
in a row?
they just beat the Rams and Houston, which is not, no easy task.
Those are the only 2 good teams they've beaten all year.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
But I think you can say that about a lot of teams.
Yeah.
When you look at the team's records.
Yeah, the Cowboys are nothing special.
Yeah.
Seattle is nothing special either. Everyone thinks so.
Although Russell Wilson is, I find it hard to ever count him out, though. He makes big plays and he's comes up with stuff that's hard to defend.
But they've also only beaten 2 good teams all year, I think.
Well, their division, when you have to play the Arizona and the
San
49ers,
Francisco.
Although the 49ers have been playing well lately. So just to get back to what you're saying, it's been such a weird year, right? And for the last 6 weeks, everyone's trying to figure out who the best team in the league is, right? So first it was the Chiefs because they were killing everybody and they were scoring 40 points a game. And then they lost. And then it was the Rams. And then they lost. And then it was the Saints. And then they lost to the Cowboys. And now this week, everyone was talking about it was going to be maybe the best team in the league is really the Chargers. And then, of course, they lost, right? So now are we back to the Saints being the best team in the league? Or, I don't think anybody thinks the Patriots are the best, but I'm not going to be shocked if the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl. I'm not going to be shocked at all.
I'll be very disappointed if they're back in the Super Bowl.
I'll be disappointed, but will you be surprised?
I won't be surprised, but I'll be disappointed. Look, normally they get a bye in the first week of the playoffs. They have to play a game this year.
Yeah. And they're going to have to play, eventually they're going to have to play, the Chargers or the Chiefs or, Baltimore. Baltimore's not really good, but they're the best defense in the league, right? Even Houston would be interesting because Deshaun Watson is so exciting,
Houston is exciting, yes. And you didn't mention the Steelers. I know they're not in the playoffs as we speak.
They're probably not going to make it.
But they could be a wild card team.
They cannot be a wild card team.
Why not?
Pittsburgh's only road to making the playoffs is to be the division champion. They cannot be the wild card.
I see.
So they have to win this weekend, and Baltimore has to lose. That's the only way Pittsburgh can make it.
Right.
And
who's Pittsburgh playing?
So the Steelers are playing the Bengals, which sounds easy, but the Bengals are a huge rival. They hate each other, those teams.
That's true, but I think the Steelers will win that game.
Yeah. And then the Baltimore is playing Cleveland, who was actually
That's a tougher game.
Cleveland.
Cleveland's not bad.
Cleveland could have almost made the playoffs.
I know.
If they didn't have such a lousy start to the season, and if they would have fired their coach sooner and took the shackles off of Baker Mayfield sooner, like.
And the only reason Baker Mayfield came in was because Tyrod Taylor got injured during a game.
Right. Well, the other coach clearly didn't want to use him. I don't know. Did you see all the stuff on social media this week about Baker Mayfield?
I didn't see this week,
He
but I
gave,
know. I saw a few weeks ago. Baker Mayfield does not like Hugh Jackson.
Well, they played this week again, right?
Yeah.
And he gave him like the evil eye going across the sideline. He stared him down for like 30 seconds, and then they asked Mayfield after the game, like what was that all about? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, he played like completely dumb, but when you see the video of it, he's clearly looking at him, like staring him down. And they asked him, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? No, there's no hard feelings. He's just a coach on the other sideline.
I'd probably do the same thing.
Of course, but especially like.
No. I mean, I would probably stare him down.
No, that's what I mean. But like, only those two guys know what happened in the locker room. Like,
Well, all the other 48 guys know
but like
as
when
well.
he was the coach, right? I mean, like, clearly, like. When all you have to do is see, like, they sucked with the other coach, and then as soon as they got a new coach that told Baker Mayfield to go out and run this offense, now he looks like a star. You know, next year Cleveland's making the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They'll have a tougher schedule because they have a better record.
Yeah, that's true.
So you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
But speaking of the NFL,
Yeah.
there are a few other things about. We talked about the Patriots and Steelers.
Yeah.
So do you remember the game they played against each other
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, of course.
So that was a really good game. But even before the game happened and you didn't know that it was going to be a good game,
Yeah.
I said to myself, that should be the Sunday night game of the week.
I didn't understand why it wasn't. Even when I was watching it.
I didn't understand either because it's easy to say, oh, that was the best game and it should have been on after the fact.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about even before.
Yeah.
If you looked at all the games and you looked at all the matchups and you said to yourself, which one's the most important game of the week?
Right.
It's that one.
Right.
100%. Also like high profile teams as well.
Well, I mean, first of all, those are two like passionate markets. I mean, Pittsburgh's not a big market, but there's Steelers fans everywhere across the country. You know, I would say, like, just off the top of my head, what teams have the most following in other cities? It's the Cowboys and then it's the Steelers.
Yeah.
You know, like it's obvious. It's
That's
like
the
when
list.
me and you were growing up, you know, I had a Steelers shirt and you had a Cowboy shirt probably. Like,
No, I didn't have any.
no, but you know what I mean? Like every kid on my street had like a Franco Harris jersey or, you know, Tony
Roger
Dorsett
Staubach?
or, you know, like that's what it was, you know, back in those days. Yeah.
Also, that game, I believe, was on CBS.
Yeah.
And as I'm watching the game, I'm saying to myself, I don't really like this analyst. And I thought it was Phil Simms because I could swear Phil Simms used to do CBS games.
Yeah, he did.
And then I realized half an hour later, oh, this is Tony Romo.
You don't like Romo?
Apparently, I haven't watched many Tony Romo games, but the couple that I have watched,
Yeah.
I don't like them.
It's really unfair. It's my team. It's my quarterback.
Well, I liked him initially, but I could see where you're going with that because as you get, at first you're like, wow, he's so refreshing. Tony Romo, look at him. He's calling the plays before they're happening and he's so enthusiastic and he's not stuffy like the other announcers, you know?
That's
he's,
fair.
He's very like hip, if you want to say, but like after a while it's just annoying, right?
Well,
Because you just want to watch the game and you want him to be quiet.
I just think he talks too much.
Yeah, he does.
Like some of the stuff he says is correct and interesting maybe, but
Yeah.
it's just that he says too much.
Right.
Like just let me watch the game, like you said.
Yeah, just watch the game.
And the analyst isn't supposed to talk as much as the play-by-play guy. But when he does games,
Yeah.
he talks way more than Jim Nantz does.
Yeah, way more.
Yeah.
More.
But that's not how it's supposed to be.
You don't even need two guys in the booth, first of all.
Do you even need one?
Well, I mean, you want to know a little bit of what's
Right.
going on.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, an educated fan doesn't need anybody necessarily, right?
Right.
I mean, for example, I watched this past week the Eagles against Houston. I watched in French
Oh, well, yeah.
because we couldn't get it on any other channel, but
Mm-hmm.
it was on here on RDS. So we were like, okay, let's watch in French, right? And I mean, those announcers don't have much to say, right?
But don't you have an app on your phone that when you point it at the television, it gives you the audio from whatever channel you want?
Well, no, I have that app. It's called Tunity.
Yeah.
Just for people who want to know. I'd have to have, oh, you're right. I could have probably, yeah. I don't know if it would have been perfectly in sync, although
I could point that app at whatever's on my TV.
Yeah.
And because it was the American feed,
Of course, because RDS doesn't go to any games.
I
and
would
produce
have been
their own
able to
games.
probably get the audio of the game in English
Yes.
from whatever channel it was.
would have.
Although the app is sensitive now because I tried it. When there's tickers and stuff, or even the RDS bug, it somehow knows. Last time I tried to do something on TSN, even though it was coming from like an American source, and it told me no, you can't. It can't. It's not available in your area. But that would have been an interesting thing to try. And there's even a thing on that app to get it in sync. Like you can adjust it, because they know you might not be in the right timing. There's some kind of sync tool to like get you into the right spot. Technology.
That is the most fascinating app I've ever heard
Well, I
of.
told you. I heard about it for some reason. I don't know how I heard about it. And I was like, there's no use for this. What is the purpose of this app? I couldn't wrap my head around what is the purpose of this app. But then, lo and behold, it's like 2 years ago, Monday Night Football game. I'm dying to fall asleep, right? I just like, I'm like, ugh, I just want to go listen to this on the radio in bed. But you can't get it on the radio anywhere. You can't get it.
Sunday night and Monday Night Football you can get on the radio.
Sometimes. So what do? I take this app, I point it at my TV, and next thing you know, I've got it on my phone. The audio of the game on my phone is perfect.
It's so fascinating. Like, how does it know? I don't understand. How does your phone know what it's seeing?
It knows.
Like, if you point it at that column over there, does it know it's looking at a column?
No, but there are apps that could do that for you.
Anyway, meanwhile, does the app get you the game in Spanish if you want it in Spanish?
Well, do you want to tell people what happened here?
Yeah.
So you walk into my house. It's in the middle of, what game was it? It was the Steelers,
It was
right?
the Steelers again this week, not the Steelers
But who were they
Patriots.
playing?
They were playing the Saints.
The Saints. So you ring the doorbell, and the second that you rang the doorbell...
And again, it wasn't the Sunday night game either.
Okay.
It was like the 4 o'clock game again.
The second that you rang the doorbell happened to be exactly 7 o'clock. So that's the time when, like, for the American listeners don't even understand what this is about, but the Canadian listeners do. That's the time that, like, CTV, TSN, and CBS are, like, going away or from each other, so to speak, So at the moment that the clock hit 7, the sound on my game changed to Spanish. So I was like, what is going on? And you sat in my living room and we watched the game in Spanish for
It was actually fun.
for about like 10 minutes.
I enjoyed it. The Spanish
And then
announcers are very fun to listen to.
I couldn't understand why it was in Spanish, because it wasn't in Spanish before 7 o'clock and I was on the same channel. And then I fiddled around with the settings on my cable provider, Videotron, and I realized I had some kind of second audio program enabled. And that's what it was. You were the one that said it has to be, and I'm like, I agreed with you. It had to be something weird with the remotes, like with the setting that got inadvertently turned on.
Yeah.
But pretty bizarre, no?
Very bizarre, but
The Spanish announcers were good.
I like their voices.
I could only understand a few words
Balón,
when they had numbers. Like I know the numbers.
or the names of the players.
Yeah, or the names of the players.
I know how to say ball in Spanish now.
Great, balón. There you go. You're all set, right?
So going back to the previous week,
Yeah.
the week where it wasn't Steelers Patriots on Sunday night.
Yeah.
I did watch the Sunday night game that week. I don't remember who was playing,
I don't remember either.
but that's not important because there was an interception in that game.
Yeah.
And I think it deflected off a player and then another guy intercepted it. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but
Yeah.
Chris Collinsworth made this comment. He's like, he just picked that ball out of midair.
Isn't that the definition of an interception?
Yes, that's every interception.
That's every interception.
So, like, I didn't understand why he was so fascinated by that.
If it was not in midair, it means he would be on the ground. There's a fumble.
Right.
The only interceptions that are not out of midair are some kind of wacky ones where, like, even those are out of midair. I was going to say where the QB gets sacked and the ball kind of just falls into the lineman's hands.
But that's out of midair.
It's still out of the air.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Chris Collinsworth, like I said, the announcers just need to say less. No?
I agree.
Yeah. There was a clip of one of the announcers last week or the week before talking about how great of a runner. I don't know if the quarterback was Deshaun Watson or it was Cam Newton. Mm-hmm. One of the really good QBs that's really good at scrambling, and they were saying like he's so great at the run after the catch. The yards after the catch.
Yak yards.
Yeah, but the quarterback doesn't have yak yards. The quarterback just runs. He doesn't catch.
Hilarious.
Yeah, so stupid. You have more NFL notes?
I got no more NFL notes.
Did you want to talk for 2 minutes about Josh Gordon?
Sure, let's talk about Josh Gordon. He has the same first name as me. Why wouldn't I want to talk about him?
I feel bad for the guy.
I do too.
I mean, some people are like, well, it's his fault and he's addicted. But I mean, when you're addicted, it has a hold on you.
It's a sickness. It's a disease. And
Yeah.
the thing is, people like that, especially someone like him, who is a professional athlete, is in the spotlight, he has tons of money,
Yeah.
and it's easy for him to get whatever vice he's addicted to.
Yeah.
They need to literally have somebody with them at all times.
They need like a handler or like someone to be their conscience.
whatever you want to call it, a babysitter, whatever,
Yeah, babysitter.
because you can't trust them to police themselves,
No,
unfortunately.
you can't.
And maybe he's better off not playing football.
He probably isn't. He probably is better off not. Sorry, I agree with you. He is better off not playing football. Speaking strictly from like the football side of things, Patriots need him.
Yeah, he was their best wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's another reason I think they're going to lose.
Yeah, because Brady's whole career, most of his career, he hasn't had good receivers, except for that little bit of time where he had Randy Moss.
Yeah.
But one thing that he always did have was Gronk these last 5-7 years. I mean, and Gronk's not been healthy many times, and he's had who knows the injuries he's had, you know. But like when healthy, he's a game breaker. Well, was, right? Clearly now, and I can tell you because I had him in fantasy, he's garbage. Right? Like
Ever since that game he played, that one series on defense.
Yeah, well, maybe playing safety screwed him up.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, and teams also, not only is he not as good, but teams know the Patriots don't have good receivers, so they're like double teaming Gronk. And,
Which you need to do.
And like, so he can't get open, and no one can, and then Brady has no one to throw to. Like last week, you know, when they won this past week, they ran the ball almost every single play. They weren't even trying to throw. It was like the Patriots from like 2003, you know?
Well, that's the thing. You never know with them. One week they can run the ball 50 times. The next week they can pass the ball 50 times.
No,
You never know
true.
what's going to happen.
That's true.
from
With
week to week.
with Belichick, it's like if he finds a weakness. One thing I definitely respect about him, because when he finds the weakness on the other team, he goes after it like full force. You know, he's like, they can't stop the run. We're going to run 100 times in a row. We're not even going to throw. We're not even going to pretend we're going to throw. And you're going to stop us. When you show us you could stop us, maybe then I'll change my mind. You know? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Major League Baseball.
What else you got? That's it for football.
Yeah, I got some baseball stuff.
Hey, me too. I wanted to talk a bit of baseball.
There's been so many off-season signings and for so much money being thrown around.
But isn't that every year?
It is every year, but this time around, players who don't deserve the money are getting money.
Right.
Like, for example, Josh Donaldson, who had a lousy year last year, just got a $23 million contract. That's $23 million for 1 year.
Yeah, but how many years did he sign for?
Just 1 year.
Okay. Well, that's not so bad. Well, I mean, it's bad. But, I mean, definitely cannot sign him to long term because he's such a injury risk, right? He's
Agreed.
when
Agreed.
healthy, he's a game breaker, right?
But listen to these stats, and then I'll tell you who it is.
Okay.
And, okay, so he's a pitcher, starting pitcher.
Uh-huh.
He had an ERA of 3.15.
Solid.
Very good.
Yeah.
He had started 33 games.
Solid.
He even had a shutout. Pitched 200 innings.
Huh.
Gave up 70 earned runs. That's it
Yeah.
in 200 innings.
What was the one-loss record?
Oh, that doesn't even matter. I'm not telling you because I don't even know what it was.
Okay.
Struck out 246 batters.
Okay, so this is clearly one of the better pitchers in the league. If he
Right.
struck
And then
246
I'll tell you one more thing. His whip. I'll tell you his whip. 1.05.
Okay, so this is one of the top pitchers in the league,
Yeah.
and he signed with another team?
Yes, he signed with another team. It's Patrick Corbin.
Oh, yeah, Patrick.
He
Corbin.
signed with the Nationals, and he got a $140 million, I believe, a 6-year deal.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but he
great.
actually performed.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to read you some stats of a different starting pitcher.
Okay.
Okay? And then you're going to tell me not who it is,
Yeah.
but based on these stats from this past year,
Yeah.
how much money you think he deserves.
Okay.
So a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
He started 24 games.
Okay.
He
Yes.
his ERA was 4.50.
Okay, garbage.
Right. And
What was
then
the whip? 1.3 or higher?
he gave up 21 home runs.
Oh, Jesus.
He only struck out 111 batters.
Yeah.
In fact, he only pitched 128 innings.
Yeah.
And his whip, let me find it over here, was 1.25.
Okay, so if I was a major league general manager, actually I wouldn't sign this player.
Okay.
I would sign him to the league minimum, or let's say $1 million.
Really?
That's what I would give him.
So
I don't want this guy on my team. He sucks.
So he signed.
Yeah.
He signed a 1-year,
Yeah.
$11 million contract.
Who
this
is it?
guy. It's Matt Harvey.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, so I have to take that back. I was going only on the 1-year stats. And just based on the last year stats, yes.
Not only last year. If I read you the
Yeah,
year
I know.
before, he was bad
But
also.
I could see I can see where GMs will look at his name and see what he's done in the past and the potential that he had.
That's long time ago.
I know.
He's way past that.
and
$11 million
and
for this guy?
It's a lot of money.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
he
a
doesn't
lot of
deserve $11 million. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Maybe you give him a $1 million deal.
Yeah,
In
make
fact,
him
I'm
prove
not
himself.
even sure.
Make
I'm
him
not
prove
even sure what
himself.
the league minimum is anymore. That might not be the league minimum.
Well, when I said league minimum $1 million, it's something close to
Yeah.
that, right?
So
Yeah.
I don't know, some crazy things happening in.
But the two
in
big
baseball.
fish, Machado and Harper, still are not signed.
Right, and I don't know that they're going to be signed because they want.
Well, I mean, they're going to be signed.
Right, but they're asking for more than $30 million a year.
It's nuts.
Who's going to give anybody more than $30 million a year?
I don't know. It's kind of crazy, no?
I mean, yes, I know that Clayton Kershaw got $31 million a year, but that's only for 3 years.
Yeah, these guys are looking for 8 to 10 years, right?
Right.
Someone's going to do it. I mean, there's so much rumors about the Yankees.
The Phillies were
The
rumored
Phillies
to
seem
want both of them.
The Phillies seem to be in on it, but I mean, again, the price tag is so high, right? I don't know if the Phillies expected to pay $30 million.
Just a few days ago, I didn't even put this in my notes.
Yeah.
The LA Dodgers unloaded what seemed like half their roster to the Cincinnati Reds.
So, yeah, I know. I was going to mention that. That's what I was segueing into. So they traded Yasiel Puig.
And they also traded one of their starting pitchers, Alex Wood.
So they've made a lot of money under the cap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think that they're going to try to sign Machado or Harper?
I do.
You do?
Well, why else would they make those trades?
Well, I don't know.
And they
their
don't-
payroll was so high to start with.
I know,
right?
but they don't care. They spend like crazy.
They don't care.
The Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox
Yeah.
and even the Angels.
Yeah.
Those 4 teams just spend.
I mean, they had Machado. They know what he's all about, right? He was on their team,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, the chances of them maybe trying to pitch for him is legit. Harper, do they need him? I mean, they have so many guys. The Dodgers. Like, who knows, right? But, I mean, obviously there's openings in the outfield now. But then again, they have other guys that were playing infield that could play outfield. They have plenty of players, right? I don't know.
It was just a very weird trade because the guy they got back was Homer Bailey, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and then they released him 24 hours later.
That was clearly, it was just like a salary situation, right? But Homer Bailey, he's not even young anymore.
I don't understand the trade from the Reds' perspective because yes, they improved their team, but I don't think they improved it enough that they're actually going to contend.
No.
So why did they even bother?
Well, I mean, Yasiel Puig, he's still, how old is he? He's super young still.
Sure, that's fine.
And maybe they feel that there's this untapped potential, like even more than what he was doing with the Dodgers. And maybe if he's the star of the team, he's going to maybe they think this guy's one of the top 10 players in the league or top 5 players in the league. I don't think that.
I don't think he's going to like it in Cincinnati.
No, because there's no spotlight on him.
That's right.
Cincinnati it's nothing there.
And how many, I don't think the Spanish-speaking population is as big as it is in LA.
He just doubled it by going there. It took you a second to get that one. You didn't get that one.
I didn't
right away.
understand that at all. So I don't think he's going to like it there.
No, I'm not sure he's going to like it either. I'm really
Anyway,
not
but
sure.
there have been a lot of...
I know. I see. I had in my notes Puig traded.
Oh, look at that. A lot of moves in baseball this offseason. I don't
But I
even
mean,
know...
you remember last year at this time what we were talking about during the baseball off season? Mm-hmm. How this guy
I don't
wasn't.
remember.
Well, this guy's not on. This guy. We were talking about it into April, into March. I mean, there's guys that weren't signed, right? So who knows how far it's going to go? Remember last year, JD Martinez. He signed no one seemed to want him, and he signed kind of the Red Sox signed him kind of reluctantly, and he became their best player, second best player, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Edwin Encarnacion was traded by Cleveland,
yeah,
and they're also talking about trading Corey Kluber, I think.
they are, yeah, which is weird because to me, Cleveland is still. I considered Cleveland still an elite team,
Yeah.
But if you take Encarnacion off their team and then Kluber too, I don't know. Do they feel like they need to rebuild, or maybe one thing that me and you don't always consider is the salaries, because if we were owners, we would just pay it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I guess they're looking at they're not every team is like the Dodgers or the Red Sox or the Yankees that are just they don't care about paying the luxury tax or whatever it is,
Didn't the Indians also lose Michael Brantley to free agency?
It's possible, but Brantley is like...
He got a big contract, though, from somebody. I forget who.
I mean, if he's healthy, he's a good hitter, but I mean, he's not... I don't think he's an impact at this point.
So I don't know what Cleveland's doing, but they should probably win their division anyway because their division was so bad.
Well, their division is definitely up for grabs. I mean,
although from year to year, you never know.
But I mean, they're definitely the class of the division. Last year, the Twins sort of did a little bit better, but I mean, how good are the Twins? The Royals are still garbage. The White Sox are still garbage. Although the White Sox
are going to be better this year.
What if they get Bryce Harper, right? We don't know.
No, but they're also going to call up that rookie that he hasn't played a major league game yet, and I don't know his name. It's him and Vlad Guerrero Jr. are the two best players in AAA.
I know. The name escapes me as well.
And so I don't know if he's going to be up on the team from April 1st.
Yeah.
But,
well, probably not, because you know how it goes. Yeah.
The National Hockey League.
Did you want to talk a little hockey?
Yes, I do.
So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the Philadelphia Flyers fired their coach.
No surprise, really. They were doing lousy.
They were in last in the East.
But the thing is, they fired him, and then they didn't, and then they fired him the next day.
Yeah.
So, there was a report that the Flyers fired their coach and hired Joel Quenneville.
Right.
But then a few hours later...
It was gone, right?
A few hours later, the Flyers came out and said, first of all, we didn't fire our coach, and we didn't hire a new coach.
Right. But then the next day, they did fire him.
The next day, they did fire him, but they didn't hire Joel Quenneville.
Right. So it's this guy, Scott Gordon, who no one ever heard of, I guess.
Well, he's coached, I think, here and there. He's been around.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's made a difference because they've won a few games. But I don't know if it's because of the coaching, but they also called up their goalie, Carter Hart, who's been,
Well, the Flyers, as you know, have had goaltending issues for, the last 10 or 20 years.
So they're no longer last in the East. They're second to last.
Mm-hmm. But, the standings are so close. You can go from, last to a playoff spot in, a week.
They're extremely, extremely close, especially, from that last spot to the last playoff spot that the Canadians are occupying now. It's very, very tight. But you still have to leapfrog 6 teams, which is not easy because not every team is gonna lose all their games, right? Some of those teams are gonna win. You can't just move up in the standings. You have to go on a huge win streak, like what the Sabres did, and win 10 games in a row.
They'll have to win a bunch of games when those other teams are on their bye week.
And that's exactly what you have to. And it's even harder to leapfrog 6 or 8 teams now because of that stupid overtime point.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Because so many games go to overtime and then you lose and you still get the point, right? So you don't gain ground on anybody. So that's all I have to say about hockey. I mean, I talked to Mark, our friend of the show, Mark from Philadelphia, who's a Flyer season ticket holder and the biggest Flyer fan I know, and he wasn't happy with the coaching change. And I was like, well, they're in last with the other guy. And he's like, yeah, but they should have got someone better. But he was happy that they called up.
But this is just an interim coach.
Yeah, but he was happy that they did call up Carter Hart finally. Although, I mean, I don't know how good he was doing in the American Hockey League. I don't think he was doing great. That's kind of why they hesitated to call him up. But he's they've invested a high first-round pick in him, and he's supposed to be the goalie of the future, So let's see what they're at least they're saying, let's see what it is,
What do they have to lose?
Well, I mean, they're in last.
Exactly.
Right? So, I mean.
Speaking of Mark in Philadelphia, is there any truth to the rumor that on Halloween he dressed up as Gritty?
There's no truth to that rumor. Why do you think? I haven't heard of that rumor. Have you?
I mean, he lives in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
If he went out trick-or-treating,
Yeah.
What other costume would he wear?
Do you think there was a lot of Gritty costumes at Halloween?
There should have been.
There should have been.
First of all, Gritty's orange. Halloween is orange.
Yeah.
Well, it's the perfect thing.
It's a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gritty scares me.
Gritty is Youppi's long-lost cousin,
I saw a good thing on the internet. It was a picture of Youppi and then a picture of Gritty. And then the caption was say no to drugs. Basically.
Yeah.
That's like Youppi on crack.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is.
It's exactly what it is. His hair's all down. He hasn't shaved for a month. Who knows where he's sleeping on the street.
Under some bridge.
That's it. He's sleeping under a bridge.
Under the Lincoln Tunnel.
Oh, it's crazy. But Gritty has become the number one mascot now, I would say.
Yeah.
In all of sports.
Well, anyway.
He has his own Twitter account. He's the only one anybody talks about. He's the only mascot anybody knows.
Well, he's better than the team
So
itself.
the Flyers were like ahead of the game with that gritty thing. You know, they sort of knew what they were doing as an organization. Anyway.
Since we mentioned Youppi,
Yeah.
have you heard these stories that have come out of Tampa that
Mm-hmm.
the owner of the Tampa Bay Rays is not pleased with the city of Tampa and is threatening again to move his team?
There was a lot of Expo rumors the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're actually, it's interesting the way the press here, and when I say here, it's Montreal, but also like the Canadian news media, which is mostly based in Toronto, like the TSN and Sportsnet of the world, they covered it very responsibly.
They did.
You know, like they didn't want to get like, they didn't have these sensational stories about Expos are coming back and whatever. It's all very cautious, you know? But, I mean, look, it was what we can go back in the archives and we talked about this last year or the year before.
Yeah.
And we asked each other the question, what is the % chance of the Expos coming back? And we had the same answer, 5%.
Oh, I don't remember the number.
I
knew it was a very low number, but I didn't know I didn't know the exact number.
I'm pretty sure that we both said 5% chance. But like, what do you say now? Is it higher than 5% chance? I think it's higher. Maybe it's 10.
I think it's still 5.
It's still 5. It's pretty pathetic because there's a lot of people in this city that are really high on the chances of them coming back, and they think it's going to happen.
They shouldn't get excited.
Yeah, Mitch Melnick, who you don't know personally, but
But he's a huge Expos fan.
I mean, you know him well. He's for all the people who are listening that don't know who he is, he's basically the biggest Expo fan there is, but he's a Montreal sports radio host, and he has been for, I don't know, 20 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he said on the air, he goes, I don't know when they're coming back, but I'm sure they're coming back. He really feels that like they're going to come back. And I was shocked to hear that because in my mind, it's like, really?
A lot of things have to happen and have to go the right way for that to happen, for the Expos to come back or for a team to come back to Montreal.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, they don't have a stadium.
Yeah.
They don't even have a location for a stadium.
Right.
They
supposedly have an ownership group.
So supposedly they have that, but Tampa and or Oakland have to move. And Oakland, I don't think is moving because I think Oakland's getting their brand new stadium that they've been bugging the city for all these years.
They should, yeah.
So they're probably not going to move
And
if they get that same.
Tampa's just using Montreal as a bargaining chip.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Like we used to do with other, it happened millions of times.
Plus, there's other cities. I think Portland wants a team and they have a stadium.
Yeah.
So there's other cities that are, in the same position as Montreal, except what they have going for them is they're in the States.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I mean, now that they have a hockey team and then the
football
Raiders are
team.
moving, it seems natural, right?
For sure.
Although we were at a baseball game in Las Vegas, a minor league game.
Okay, but that you can't play in that stadium.
No. I'm not talking about that stadium. I'm just talking purely the weather.
Yeah, that's why you have to play in an air-conditioned stadium.
It has to be like an indoor thing. Right.
Or a retractable thing that you can close when it's too hot.
Because for that minor league team that in Vegas, they don't play any day games. We happen to go to like one of the 5 day games that's on the schedule the entire season.
Yeah, well, it was getaway day, I think, for one of the
because
teams.
every game's at night because it's just simply too hot.
Yeah.
And we walked into the stadium. I remember we just bought any random tickets and we walked into the stadium. And then, of course, like the first 10 rows all around the stadium, no one's sitting in them. And you're like, oh, well, how come all the 10 rows? And then you realize because the sun is shining on those rows. Yeah. And you cannot sit there. Otherwise, you will become, you're going to roast.
A turkey.
Yeah, you're going to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned Mitch Melnick. And so I've been in Montreal for about 4 or 5 days now.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the car, I'll listen to sports talk radio. And I haven't listened to Montreal sports talk radio, in months. Because I don't live here.
Right.
And it annoys me.
Oh, well, it's terrible.
But
it's terrible. I wish there used to be a French sports talk radio station.
There isn't anymore?
No, it's not an all sports. There's the regular French stations, but they don't have an all sports radio station French. And I used to like it.
Oh.
Because I found, it wasn't more balanced. It was all about the hockey team.
Yeah,
and it's crazy. But at least you get a different voice,
Right.
Yeah.
You have to explain something to me. Because I was only able to listen to less than 30 seconds of this particular radio person.
Yeah.
How is Chris Nyland on the radio?
Oh, it's so bad.
How is he on the radio?
Look, I like Chris Nyland. I don't want to say he was a great hockey player, but he was a player that I liked having on my team when I was a kid, right? It's fun to watch. He was a big fighter, tough guy. He even scored some goals. I like Chris Nyland.
As a hockey player. But to listen to him on the radio hurts my ears.
No, the prerequisite for being on the radio should be that you can
master the English language.
Put words together and create a sentence. and it's tough for him. Let's just say.
Well, I mean, he did get punched in the head.
He's not great at speaking. Which should be the prerequisite for being on the radio.
And I think he has his own show, actually.
Well, yeah, they call it like
Knuckles?
No, he has his own show. Like it's every day, but he's away so much that there's always a guest host, which is just one of the regular radio station guys. Anyways.
So we went from baseball to hockey, back to baseball, back to hockey. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Me too. So you want to just end the show?
No, because there's a couple other things I want to mention to you.
Yeah, go for it.
So you know that Carey Price finally got, his 300th career win?
Yeah.
And he moved into 34th place on the all-time goalie wins list.
You have all the stats right in front of you. Look at you.
34th place.
Yeah.
And do you know which goalie who's now no longer playing he is tied with for career wins?
You have to tell me. Give me a hint. Give me one hint.
Give
me a team.
He has played at one point in his career for the Montreal Canadiens. But he's been on a bunch of different teams.
Okay, I don't know.
Thomas Vokoun.
He's that high up on the list of wins?
I couldn't believe it either. Thomas Vokoun has 300 wins?
That doesn't make sense.
I couldn't believe it either. I had to look it up.
Well, he played in the league for a long time, and he played on Nashville, where they got quite a few wins. He had some winning
Nashville
seasons.
wasn't good when he was on Nashville,
I don't know.
and he wasn't good when he was on Montreal.
Are you sure about this?
Well, let's look it up, because this is what I heard. I'm pretty sure as soon as I heard this, I looked it up. I'm like, that can't be right.
That's so
because
funny.
You don't usually mention Carey Price and Thomas Vokoun in the same sentence.
You certainly don't. There it is, right in front of us. Just looked it up. Thomas Vokoun, 300 wins.
Never would have guessed Thomas Vokoun had 300 career wins.
I would never in my life have guessed that. That's shocking, actually.
Yeah.
No?
That's why I wanted to mention it.
Wow. Okay, there you go.
So.
Well, I mean, he's certainly going to go up. By the end of the year, he's going to get at least 10 more wins.
Price will, not Vokoun.
Vokoun.
Vokoun's done.
Yeah. So, but I mean, who knows where Carey Price is going to finish?
Unfortunately for Ron Hextall and Mike Liute,
yeah,
who didn't quite get to 300 wins,
yeah,
they're not going to be able to pass Thomas Vokoun.
They're not. Thomas Vokoun. It's unbelievable, actually. Can't believe that you found that.
But Jonathan Quick is only 3 wins behind him.
Yeah, and he's also 5 years younger, no?
More than 5 years younger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's cool. That's very cool. So before we sign off, remember you can listen and subscribe to new and archived episodes of the Skip and Josh podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple, Stitcher, Google, iHeartRadio, and of course Spotify. We would love to hear from you via email, skipandjoshshow@gmail.com, via Twitter @skipandjosh, or by liking and following our Facebook page. And as always, skipandjosh.com has all the links on how to subscribe.
We leave you with this.
You know, the one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, sort of end the show this week, was, and I know we sort of talked about it already off air, was the Carolina Hurricanes having their big Hartford Whaler night.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
It was wild. I mean, they changed the Twitter on the Canes official Twitter account. They put the Whalers logo and everything.
As they should have.
They went all out, right? And at first I was like, yeah, this is great. It's so good to keep the memories of the Whalers alive and all those Whaler fans out there that feel like they're forgotten. And then I saw on Twitter, people were like, how would you feel, Expo fans, how would you feel if the Nationals ever had an Expo night? And I was like, oh yeah, I don't think I would like that.
No, it's not good for the people in Hartford, but no one else cares.
Right.
And it's a way for the Hurricanes to sell more merchandise.
More merchandise.
Yeah.
You think if you go right now to Raleigh Durham, you can see some people walking around in Whalers jerseys?
It'd be hard. I think it'd be hard to find those people.
I think it would be. Yeah.
You think anyone would trade their Whaler jersey for a Duke jersey?
I don't know. Not sure.
So a couple of quick things, and they all have to do with PTI.
Yeah.
Which I'm an avid follower of PTI.
I know you are.
First of all, of course, Tom Wilson got into a fight.
Yeah.
And of course they talked about it on PTI.
That's all they talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
Second thing is, Tony Kornheiser You know, he owns his own restaurant.
Yes, I know.
He talks about it all the time on his own podcast.
Yes.
What I'm amazed at is that he talks about it on PTI also, which is a national show on ESPN, and I'm surprised the producers let him talk about his restaurant on PTI.
I think Tony has gotten to the stage where, like, I mean, I know, like, I kind of went through this with my dad personally. You get to be such an age, like, you're so old, and you just feel like you can just do whatever you want, and they're going to be like, what's that old geezer talking about now, right?
That
And
must
the
be
producers are like, we don't want to upset him. Let him just do what he wants, you know?
that must be it. One other Tony tidbit
Yeah.
on his podcast.
Yeah.
They play music from people who send in music.
Yeah.
And they were playing the song, and he said, "Oh, this sounds like Bowling for Soup." I was stunned that he even knew who Bowling for Soup was. They're actually a cool band.
They're okay, but yeah, it's a little bit too hip for Tony.
It is.
Yeah, it's much too hip.
I was stunned.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
All right, so next episode, we're going to give out the most prestigious awards in all podcasting, sports podcasting.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Well, every newspaper and radio station and television station is doing their best of 2018 lists.
Yeah.
So I
They're
wonder if Caroline Shved's doing the misplays of 2018.
It's already out. I saw it.
Oh, okay. So I guess we should do one too, like everyone else.
Yeah, so the next episode we'll give out our best of 2018 awards.
Okay.